Hello, everybody, and welcome to our. It's not a Wisdom Wednesday, but it's actually related to some sort of kind of that. We have another amazing webinar starting the year 2025, and we have our webinar with Zia Mohi, our COO from CTI, and Gavi, our Business Development Manager here. So today we're going to talk about a very important topic that actually concerns everybody, and everybody should learn that. So we are talking about finance and master your money. See, are you excited to talk about this topic?
This is my favorite thing to talk about, so let's get started.
Awesome. So, Zia, we have some questions. So, the first one in finance and everything, it's what are the key pillars of financial planning?
So, when it comes to financial planning, I think the hardest part about it is just being honest with yourself. And one of the biggest problems that we have, especially in the American culture, is it's called keeping up with the Joneses. If my neighbor gets a Mercedes, then I have to get a Mercedes. If my neighbor does this, then I have to do this. Instead of being honest with yourself and living within your means and realizing that you have to start planning for tomorrow, yesterday.
Okay,
And it's one of the
nice.
biggest mistakes that we make is not realizing that and not budgeting for that, not saving for that, not managing our finances properly. And when you say the key pillar, it's just being honest with yourself and just saying, hey, listen, as much as I would love to go on a 3-week vacation to Italy and just eat and drink my way through there, I don't think I can afford that. And going into debt to go on a vacation is probably not a good idea. And we can get into a little bit more of that when it comes to budgeting and savings and all that good stuff. But I'll let you kind of dictate the way.
Awesome. So, how do you think it actually, let's talk about something important actually when you're talking about finance and everything that everybody needs to know. How actually people should have like an emergency fund? What is essential for that?
So everybody's emergency fund is going to look a little bit different, and your emergency fund is kind of be dictated by your lifestyle, right?
Okay.
And it's going to be dictated by what your mortgage payment, what your rent payment looks like. What is your absolute minimum expense every month that you have to have before before you've saved anything. For example, if I live in a house, I have a mortgage, I have taxes, I have to have property insurance, electricity, water, trash, sewer. And when you take a look at what are all of my minimum expenses
Mm-hmm.
every month, that you want to take that number, and if you can multiply it by 6,
Mm-hmm.
that's a great emergency fund.
Okay.
Conservatively 3, but if you're between 3 and 6, you need to have that much money put aside liquid, meaning that you can tap into that whenever you need it. And if you don't have that, that's a lot of times when people fall into debt. They'll start maxing out their credit cards. They'll take
Okay.
out lines of credit against their home, against their investments, just to live. You have to be really careful because things happen, right? You just have to be prepared for it. So that's a when it comes to that emergency expense, that's a big one.
What factors do you think people consider, when starting their investment journey? Let's say we already have these, fund and everything ready, not the emergency fund, but another one. I want to start, this journey investment. What should I do? How should I start?
So you're never too young to start, and if for the novice, which I would consider most of us, consistency and discipline are probably the two most important things that you can have in investing. So I would pick something that's rather consistent. An index
Mhm.
fund is incredibly popular. It's incredibly easy to manage. And there's so many platforms out there now that'll allow you to invest a little bit every day. Just case in point, like I always tell people try Robinhood. TD
Mhm.
Ameritrade has another good one. Both of those are super, super easy to use, very user friendly. So you're not intimidated by the platform. And what they'll allow you to do is instead of having to buy one share at a time, you can buy $5 at a time. So when we talk about consistency and discipline, again, this also has to do a lot with your age. If you're in your 70s, I wouldn't tell you this is a good time to start investing. This is like you have completely some very different strategy. But if you're earlier on in your career, something that you might want to look into is long-term, disciplined, structured
Okay.
investing. And so, what I would tell you is find something like the S&P 500. I think if you look at it year over year, the S&P
Mm-hmm.
500 is in the top five of all funds, and it's just based off. It's just the S&P 500. And Vanguard has one called VOO. There's another one, SPY, that just mirrors the S&P. A great way for a younger person or somebody earlier in their investing journey is
Mm-hmm.
just contribute $5 a day. Set up a
Okay.
recurring purchase for
Simple.
$5. Yeah, $5. If I told you 150 bucks a month, you'd be like, I don't know if I can do that. But if I told you $5 a day, you're like, well, it's only $5 a day. It's the same number, just coming out at a different time. So
Okay.
one thing I tell you, be consistent with it and be
Mm-hmm.
disciplined. If you set up an automatic recurring purchase every single day for $5 times 365, you're looking at you saved what, about $1,500 every year. And then what'll happen is it'll go up. So you're compounding on what you're making. So by the time you're 30, 40, 50, 60 years old, you don't have $1,500 there. You're going to have $1,000,000. And for a lot of people, that's a hard number to like come to terms with. How can I become a millionaire? Time. Time is literally the best way to become a millionaire. So if you can put away, and I kind of want to go backtrack a little bit because I think we went a little too far too fast when we talked about financial principles, and I want to kind of backtrack a little bit. Investing is definitely one of them, and consistent and discipline for investing. But the other thing you have to look at is uh, where's my money going,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so one of the things you want to look at is, do you have a budget in place? What are you doing for your budget? And then people always ask, well, what am I supposed to spend?
Mm-hmm.
What I'm about to say is not written in stone. It's not on the 10 commandments, but this is something that I always try to live by. It's made it easier for me to kind of get by. If you take your monthly income and you divide it by four, 25%, right? That should go towards your rent or mortgage. If you can be less than that, that's great. Try not to be over that, because once you're over that, you're what we call house poor. That
Okay.
means so much of your money, of your monthly income is tied up in your home. You may not have any money to go do anything else. You'll be eating ramen noodles and driving like a 15, 20-year-old car. So you want to
Mm-hmm.
properly allocate how much money you're bringing in. 20% of your money is going to go to taxes. So if you're making $50,000 a year, just assume 10,000 is gone. So you're living
Right.
on 40. Transportation. You want no more than about 10% of your income to go to transportation. You want 10% to go to savings. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. It's called a blind savings. And then last but not least, the only reason we work is so we can enjoy our money. So you want to put aside 35% of your money or less towards towards having fun, food, entertainment, going to concerts, going to football games, the movies, whatever it may be. You want to put some money aside, vacations. And as long as you allocate your money properly, you should be fine.
So, Zia, you were talking about being disciplined and consistent, right? With the
Mhm.
money and with everything. What happened when somebody wants to start this investment journey and they don't have that? They don't have the discipline, they don't have the consistency. How they can help themselves to become more consistent? How they can actually start becoming disciplined, like you are saying?
So I love that question because I'd say the majority of people have that problem.
Hmm.
I would say outside of a couple of entrepreneurs out there, the majority of the people work for a company, right? And they probably have direct deposit where the money every 2 weeks is directly deposited into their account. Well, in order to kind of force yourself
Mhm.
to be disciplined, live on less. And what you do with that is, I would say, when you're able to do your direct deposit, split it into two. The first one, 10% of your income. Don't do a dollar amount, do 10% because that'll keep you disciplined. And the more money you make, the more money you're going to save. 10% goes directly into your savings account. You never even think about it. The 90% goes into your checking. And you learn to live on less. You'll learn to budget with less. So that $5 a day now gets a lot easier because now 10% is going
Right.
away. Forcing yourself to be disciplined is a fantastic way to not make mistakes. To start that investment journey is because you're learning to live on less. The other thing I would tell you to do, if your company offers you a 401k, Take it. Don't think about it. Take it. No questions asked. And do it for the minimum. The minimum you want to put in there is whatever they're going to match. So if they'll do a 6% match, you better put 6% of your earnings in there, because you're getting a 6% raise. You're getting a bonus every year of 6%. Take it. It's free money. Little things like that can force you into a structured, consistent, disciplined investment strategy.
That's wonderful. And it's true, you're right. Sometimes people don't understand, the discipline of start doing this as well. So, based on that, what do you think is the ideal time to start investing?
Yesterday, as soon as
Yesterday.
humanly possible. I have 3 kids, and the second they were born, I started investing for them. And what you do is like their birthday money, their allowances, anything that you can put in, start investing for them. Because if you take a look at what the U.S. stock market looked like 20 years ago versus what it is today, in any 20-year time span, it's dramatically higher. So the sooner you can invest, the better. Your kids will be millionaires before you were millionaires. It's a beautiful thing. And with the way the cost of living is going up, they're going to need every penny of it. So I've got 3 kids. The first thing I did is I started investing under their names. I want to get as much invested under their names. You're able to gift them money. When you get to that point in your career, you can gift them money every year to help reduce your tax burden. And then for them, boom, they're growing more, growing more, growing more. So invest as soon as humanly possible. $1, $2, $5, $100, whatever it may be. Just be consistent and disciplined when you do it. The results are unbelievable.
So we are talking a lot about, the beauty of investment and everything, which is awesome, and why we should do it. But let's talk about the other side. What are some risks of investing? So, yeah.
So I see one of two things when it comes to risk. One is you got to be careful with the age group that you're in and where you're putting your money, right? And I would tell everybody, consult with a professional. That's what they're there for. If you need a couple of names, I'm friends with tons of them, depending on where you are in your life, what you're trying to do. I have tons of friends. Just DM us. I'll be more than happy to make a connection for you. But what I would tell you is the 2 biggest mistakes I see people make, and where things can get risky, is when they put too much of their money into a risky place because they think it's going to be really good. Like, for example, the tech sector in the United States is one of the riskiest places you can be in. I'd say a month and a half ago, Tesla was at $450 a share. Today was at $302 a share. Be careful. It's an incredible company. It's just very volatile. So, and if you're just buying $5 of Tesla a day, it won't matter how much it goes up and down, because at the end of this all, it'll be up here. But if you're trying to time it, that's when you're going to get yourself in trouble. Like, you might say, oh my God, it's down huge today, I'm going to go buy a bunch of it. And it'll go down again tomorrow by 20%. You're like, oh, what am I going to do? Don't time the market. Just be consistent, spread it out. Buying a house is a beautiful thing, because now you're allocating a huge percentage of your investing into land, into real estate, while you're also investing in the market. You can invest in crypto. You can invest in gold. You can invest in so many different things. So as you develop in your career, you can start diversifying your portfolio more and more and more as your income goes up, right? 10% of $50,000 is $5,000. That's not really a ton of money to invest, but it's a great start. But if you're making $150,000, now you're at $15,000 a year. Now you can put $5,000 in each bucket. You can come up with 3 different buckets that you can invest in and diversify your assets. So if one goes down, the other one's going to go up. So it's a great way to do it is, just to repeat, don't try to time the market. You're not good at it. It's not you're not a day trader. It's not, if you're good at doing that, stop your career, stop what you're doing and go do that. Diversify your assets. Don't time the market. Be consistent. Be disciplined. Stay away from fads. Don't invest in an overnight sensation. It's going to go away. A lot of these meme coins are doing that right now. It's up 50%. I'm going to go buy. And then it's down 150%. You're like, oh no, what just happened?
So how can we keep up, on with all these trends? Because I know there's so many places you should invest, so many people that are telling you invest here as well, and you want to start this journey. How can you keep up with all these trends? Yeah, is there any like tools that you have or like you usually use for your investment too? Is there like I don't know, a specific cryptocurrency that you prefer instead of the other one, for example? Or how can I actually start educating myself more if I want to start in this investment journey?
Okay, so I love that. And it's one of the best questions that you could have asked. So Tony Robbins was on one of these business programs, and he was talking about Apple, and he said, you realize if you when you say you've bought each iPhone as it's come out, the year it came out, say it was $1,000, and you bought $1,000 of Apple stock at the same time you bought your phone. And if you spent that same amount of money every single time you bought a new iPhone, you also bought the same amount in stock, you'd have $1 million today. So what that would tell me is if you're going to invest in a company, if you're going to invest at all, make sure you're using that product. You understand what that product is. Do your research. If somebody says, "Oh, I found this stock that's going to kill it," you're going to be like, "Oh, really? I'm going to buy it." What does it do? Is it a robot butcher, or is it an actual what are you buying? And I would tell you, if you're going to buy the product, buy the stock. Like, for example, I don't know what kind of car you buy, but if you're a fan of Toyota, when you go buy Toyota stock, or when you go buy a Toyota, go buy their stock. If you really like BMW, go buy their stock when you buy their car. Show like you really do want that car. Like, if you wouldn't buy their stock, don't buy their car. And if you wouldn't buy their car, don't buy their stock. If you wouldn't buy their product, don't buy their stock. That's a lot of what it is just really being true to yourself. Because I know I research a product before I buy it. And if I
Hmm.
don't like that company, I'm like, I don't know if this is the right company for me. I don't think I like this. I'm not going to buy their stock either.
So
Do your
trust your
research.
emotions too, and your
Eliminate emotion.
feelings towards the okay.
Mhm. Being emotional in investing is probably the worst thing you can do. That's why I
Yep.
love dollar cost averaging, of just buying $5 a day, $10 a day, $20 a day, whatever you can afford. That takes all the emotion out.
So let's say that I make this huge investment and I was super excited and then I love it and then I lost all of it. Let's talk about that, Sia. How can we recover from that loss of investment? Is like any advice you can give us from something like that?
If you lost your entire investment,
Yes, I've known people that had happened in the past, and they
Hard.
are devastated.
so
Gabby.
so a lot of times that's going to happen with an entrepreneur starting a business. And to be fair, what they're going to gain in experience may outweigh what they lost financially. But I would tell you, if you just bought like a meme coin and it completely crashed, I would tell you you probably didn't do your research and you made an emotional decision. I would tell you use that education that you just got, that experience, and don't do that again. Maybe go find an index stock, maybe find two or three, and just put $2 in each one every day, $10 in each one every day, whatever it may be. Again, just try to go back to being disciplined, or if you're not going back to, maybe just start being disciplined. It's never too late to be disciplined. And I think by doing that, you'll see the results. It's going to be a tough pill to swallow. If you are in a questionable investment right now, it's never too late to kind of cut your losses and start doing the right thing. But again, it's up to you. You could be a billionaire tomorrow, and you could be
Hmm.
laughing at us.
Zia, before we move to more questions that Gabby has, what are some books, podcasts, or gurus, or I don't know, a YouTube channel you will, share with us in order to start this investment journey?
So, I would. So there's three things that would come to mind, and only because they're very relevant, they're recent, even though the book is pretty old. One of them I actually had our company do a book club with. It's called The Richest Man in Babylon. I think you were part of that one too. But with Richest Man in Babylon, it's a very, very old book. But it's funny, even after 100 years, the principles really haven't changed. I would tell you read the book. It's a story too, so it's easier to follow, it's easier to read, but it's really great when it comes to just the core principles, and he reiterates them over and over and over again. It's a great book for entry level savings and entry level investing. Another book that we actually just got to see him live in a presentation. It's called Profit First by Mike Michalowicz, and great book. What he does with this is it's more towards the business, but you can definitely use it in your personal life as well. Where it talks about before you've paid a bill, take profit, or in the person space, save. Like if you make $100,000 a year, make sure you save $10,000 a year before you've paid a bill. That way, you're forcing yourself to save. You're forcing yourself to be successful tomorrow. Love that. And
And are they, sorry, Sia, are they easy to read
I
for
mean,
a person that don't manage finance things?
yes, they're more narrative. So they're not technical books. They're more stories, they're more principles. It's a lot easier to go through than it is to read a textbook. I would never recommend a textbook for an average person because they'll never finish reading it because it's boring. Although the content might be great, you can probably go on like ChatGPT and get the recap in like 5 seconds. That would be better for you. And then the last one, guys, Tony Robbins is just such an incredibly smart person. He really understands all these different principles at a psychological level. Listen to his podcast, read his books, go through his YouTube. Some of the stuff that he comes up that when I heard the thing about Apple, I was just so frustrated as somebody who's owned way too many Apple products. And now I've gotten to the point where I'm like, before I buy something, should I go buy their stock? Like, for example, next time I buy a McDouble from or a Big Mac, should probably go $5. I'm going to probably go buy $5 worth of McDonald's stock. If I buy a Whopper, then I'm going to go buy $5 worth of Burger King stock. Just when you think about it, if you're able to purchase the stock for the same amount you buy the product in, it was just such an incredible thought that I'm like, man, it's just if you're gonna consume the product, then buy the stock, be part of the company, be an owner of that company, which is what it is when you own stock. So I really, really like what Tony Robbins, that thought. When you read his stuff, it's at such a psychological level. He gets so deep into why we do certain things. He's really, really interesting. Really interesting.
And finally, Sia, before I move on to Gavi, I saw that you have the Wall of Wall Street there behind you. We're talking about investment, money, and everything. Is there something about the movie that really taught about, these? Like it's something you really like about it?
So be careful with guys like him. You know, be very careful. He's an incredible salesperson, and I always have that picture up, and I really, after watching the movie, you can just, and I have a sales background for if you guys don't know, it's when you listen to him and the confidence that he talks, the way he talks, the way he acts, the confidence he holds himself with. That is something and that's more on the sales side. Do not take his investment advice, please. He's there to make money for himself, not for you. So yeah, don't do any of that. But that was more just the confidence that he does things in, and
Mm-hmm.
I just thought it was great. That you can
Awesome.
take good things out of bad situations.
Yeah, yeah, I really love the movie, to be honest. I watched it and I really like
Oh, it's
it.
not to life. Great.
Yep. Gabi, do we have questions for Zia?
Yes, we have a lot, but very personal. Let's
Okay.
start. Okay, so John asks, how do I know if I'm financially ready to start investing and how much should a beginner start invest? Sorry.
So that is a very personal question. And are you ready? The answer is yes. The answer is always yes. And the question is more, how much can I afford to invest? And that kind of go back to the 10% principle. You want to be at least 10% of your income. You want to be able to start investing, saving with. But if you're not comfortable with that, start smaller. Just remember, the more you're able to save early, the bigger that number becomes later because of compound. It just builds and builds and builds. It's beautiful.
It's hard to
I've been
get
there.
there. Okay, so here, how can I save my money when my paycheck barely covers my expenses?
So that goes back to
That's
budgeting. And listen, as I'm assuming that person lives in a major city because rent and mortgage, and it's very, very high. And sometimes, we really have to make the decision on where we want to live, how much money we want to allocate to that, and where can we cut. Because if you're living paycheck to paycheck, what I would tell you is just create a smaller paycheck for yourself. Like we talked about, that forced savings, and just try to get by with less. Meal prep instead of going out to eat meals. I meal prep for myself. That's just more so I'm not eating Burger King and McDonald's every day. If you're able to meal prep, you'll save a ton of money. You can go buy chicken for $2.99 a pound. For $3 a pound, you can go buy a ton of chicken. You can cook it up, chop it up, toss it with some sauce, pour it over rice, and rice is incredibly cheap. You can have lunch every day for $3 or $4.
Mm-hmm.
Versus if you go out, that's going to be $15 or $20. All those little dollars add up. So just I know it's hard, especially when you're not making as much as you want to be making and you still want to live a certain lifestyle. Sometimes you just have to swallow the pill, and you either need to cut your expenses or go make more money. And I know it's, just go make more money. Go to sales. Guys, go to sales. You can make as much money as you want in sales. Go drive Uber at night. Do DoorDash. Do what if you really don't like the situation you're in, go do something about it. It's America. You have so many opportunities here.
That's true. So true. And okay, here, when you're starting to invest, there is a question. What are common mistakes beginners make when managing their money?
That goes right back to not having consistency and discipline. 100% consistency and discipline. If you don't know what you're doing, either go talk to a professional. Like, for example, if my toilet is broken, I call a plumber. Right? That's it. You can go on YouTube. There's YouTube University is a fantastic place. Go there and learn as much as you want. But I would also go talk to a professional. Their advice in the beginning is normally free. Because their goal is to bring their money over to you. They want you to bring money to them. But you go talk to them, they'll give you advice. I would tell you, just stick to being consistent and disciplined. Stick to very neutral investments. Like the S&P 500 is really, really the most consistent one you're going to find. It's almost always trajecting up. It's going to have dips, peaks and valleys, but it almost always ends up going up. Dollar cost average that, buy the $5 a day and you will be fine. Steer clear of those schemes. Don't do anything like that. Just be consistent, be disciplined, and take the emotion out of investing.
It sounds easy, but it isn't.
When you put it on autopilot, it is. When you don't have to think about it, it's a lot easier. When 10% of your money goes to a different bank account,
Mm-hmm.
and it goes straight to savings, it gets a lot easier.
You already talked about this, and obviously I have this question before when we talk about this topic. And here they are asking, how do I figure out which investments are right for me? Because obviously you have many ways to do it, but you don't know which one is the right one for
Yeah,
you.
so that's fun, right? It really depends on how old you are and how close you are to retirement, what you want your retirement to look like. There's a lot of factors in that. I would tell you, please go talk to a professional again and ask us for a reference or referral. I'm more than happy to refer you out to one of our friends. And what I would tell you is it really depends, again, on what's your age. What do you want out of it, right? If you're young, you should be going for growth. You want your money to grow, because if you've missed what's going on in America, inflation's been going crazy, right? But if you've been in the market's also been going crazy. So if my money in the market is outpacing inflation, which is great, my money in my pocket is losing money every day. So I try to keep as much as I can invested, so that way I'm outpacing inflation. But again, please go talk to somebody about that.
But for example, an expert can be a broker or.
Yeah, anybody that's like a financial advisor, financial planner, anybody like and also ask for references, ask for referrals. Look at your successful friends. Look at anybody who's got a financial advisor. Hey, what do you like about your financial advisor? Why do you use that person? And then they'll tell you this is why. And then can you make an introduction? Go meet them. Go meet that person. See if you like what they have to say. See if you agree with their philosophies. See if they're fee based or if they just see what they do. Interview a couple of them, right? It's almost like dating, right? It's before you're going to marry somebody, date a couple of them. See which one you like better. Who pulled out the chair for you? Who opened it and closed your door for you?
Thank you. for that advice. And obviously, you talk about this, but people is asking. So, what's one financial habit that can make the biggest difference in the long run?
Discipline,
Discipline.
discipline, discipline, discipline. I have made it a point, whether I was in corporate America, I
Mhm.
tried to max out my 401k every year. And that was awesome. That made me so much money just because I'm putting money away that I can't see, I can't touch. The beauty of 401k is you're actually not allowed to touch it until you want to retire. So that money's growing and growing and growing. I couldn't touch it, no emotions, nothing. They even have a specific fund that says if you want, what year do you want to retire, and it puts you in a specific fund for growth for up until that year. So it's a really, please be disciplined. Don't get emotional. If you see the market go down, don't say, "Oh no, I should stop now." No, no, no. It's if I'm going to go buy clothes, I want to go buy them when they're on sale. I don't want to buy them when they just came out and they're super expensive. I want to buy them when they're on sale. So stick to being disciplined. Being disciplined, being consistent are the two best pieces of advice that you can have.
Okay. And the last one, it will be appropriate to treat an investment as an fixed expense,
Of course, I would, a thousand
or
percent.
is more easier like to start to
I
have
mean,
that?
I would even put it past the fixed expense. We're talking about you don't if you do it properly, the 90/10. It's not even expense. It's income that you never received. You know what I mean? Like you want you like the book says, take your money first before you spend anything. You do that, you're setting yourself up to be successful. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, because guys, if it wasn't hard, everybody would do it, right? It's like sports. If like I play golf, if hitting a 300-yard down the middle drive was super easy, everybody would be a pro golfer, and it wouldn't be fun. You know, it's the people that put the time in, they dedicate themselves, be disciplined, be consistent. That's where you see the difference.
That's my goal this year.
There you go.
Let's see if it
Well,
works.
I'm just a phone call away. You can call me anytime you want.
Thank you, Gabby. I think that was the end of all the questions. And besides, we talk about investment and dating and everything. Zia, thank you so much for joining us today to talk about this important topic. And if you guys have questions, please feel free to follow us on LinkedIn. Follow Sia as well on LinkedIn. He will be really happy to talk about this topic because he's very passionate about this topic. Thank you so much for your advices and everything, Gabby. Thank you so much for your questions. And then stay tuned because we have more webinars coming soon. We have a lot of guest speakers coming this coming March. So thank you guys. And that was a great start of 2025 webinars for CTI. Very excited to see what other people would like to join. And then I'll see you soon. Thank you, Sia. Thank you, Gabby.
Thank you, ladies.
Bye, guys.
Bye, guys.